Good morning, Western Slope. Happy Tuesday. I'm Dalen Brazelton. Let's talk about your weather. Now, while we have a wonderful fall-like day set aside for the morning hours, things are going to be a little bit chillier for the Western Slope today compared to where we should be for this time of year. Taking a look behind me on America's Mattress Live Tower Cam, that sun is starting to rise and a little bit of that cloud coverage off above the Grand Mesa here to kick things off here. Of course, now with the fall season officially underway, that sun is going to start rising a little bit later in the day, now officially after that 7 a.m. mark. Not only are we seeing significant drops in temperature, but we do have a slight chance of rain in the valley. However, it's mainly going to be concentrated in the higher elevations. However, if we do see some of those showers, expect it to be very early afternoon. Meanwhile, in the central mountains next to the Front Range, well, folks, we are seeing our first bouts of snow in the region. It's going to be a lovely one. Now, as we take a look at that satellite and radar from the early morning hours of today, we're seeing a lot of those storms pushing into the Great Plains near the Midwest as well, but some of that snowfall happening in those central mountains slowly kind of dissipating its way as things starting to warm up. However, just something to keep in mind that we're a little bit closer to those snowy conditions than previously anticipated. Right now, we're waking up to 52 degrees in Grand Junction, mid-40s in Montrose and Paonia, with Nucla and Delta a little bit warmer than that, but still very much so settled in the 40s. Meanwhile, Glade Park seeing the low 40s to kick things off for today here. Now, as far as the temperature change, this is something that's very significant, folks. All across the Western Slope, we are just around the board colder today than we are compared to 24 hours ago. For example, Grand Junction seeing about 10 degrees cooler, Nucla. Meanwhile, Montrose, 15 degrees cooler right now than they were the previous morning. Now, for that classroom forecast, that first bell's ringing to those low 50s and mostly sunny conditions. However, we will be seeing that cloud coverage push in. And then those colder temperatures really starting to take hold for the after-school activities. Low 70s as well here. Typically, we're approaching the 80s at that point in time, and so when we take a look at the overall setup for the next 12 hours, you can really see how much cooler we're expected to be compared to where we normally are, because low 70s expected for the afternoon. By the time noon is hitting, we're only seeing mid 60s, which is about 10 degrees warmer than where we will be at the end of this broadcast, for example. Meanwhile, across the region, we're starting to see more frost advisories in effect. Near Saguache County, this is going to be in effect all day long here. So more and more areas in those higher elevations in the central mountains starting to see those frost advisories, starting to see those warnings, and yes, of course, even a little bit of snow. Meanwhile, for Mesa County, we've got a couple weeks still until we are expected to see our first freeze. Last year, it happened the day before Halloween. This year, we're expected to see it the day after Halloween, but as far as the first frost goes, that's about a week and a half before that. And the difference between frost and freeze is only a couple of degrees here, so it's a pretty significant change of pace here, but we're still a ways off from seeing that. Meanwhile, tomorrow, we're expected to warm back up as high pressure pushes into the region, and then surrounded by two low pressure areas, well, this is creating what's called an omega block pattern, and typically that just means that the type of weather that we're seeing while we're in this, that's the type of weather that will be perpetuated. So since we're in the middle of this omega block pattern, that's going to continue to just perpetuate warm and dry air probably until the weekend. As we take a look ahead, though, at that Discovery Auto Group 7-day forecast, we're seeing upper 60s peaking today in Grand Junction. And then from there, well, we're back to the races. Low 80s expected for the rest of the week after tomorrow. Montrose, slightly cooler, seeing those mid-60s, low 70s tomorrow. Overnight lows barely in the 40s, and then kind of increasing 10 degrees before the weekend. It's going to be an interesting one, folks.